Want to hear some of that techno music?
Today I'm on my way to take a look at possibly the most remarkable yacht that I have ever filmed. She's a 60-meter Feadship. I had a look on board yesterday and I just can't wait to show you every area of the yacht in detail. To be honest, I thought that I'd end up publishing a video saying how great the Feadship brand is, their engineering, their build quality, but in truth, this is a great yacht on her own. The fact that she's a Feadship is just a cherry on the Superyacht cake that has more layers than a Victoria sandwich and more surprises than a baked Alaska. I'm talking about the award-winning, world-cruising, history-making Blue Moon. Actually, as I arrive on the yacht, I should really mention a little about the tender that I arrived on. A 28-foot Gar Wood, an iconic American brand founded by a boat racing driver of the same name. This is actually a replica of the original 1936 Gar Wood Streamliner. Blue Moon stores the tender along with a 25-foot Chris-Craft on the bridge deck. Personally, I believe this is the best way to store tenders if you can. It's a very safe method of launch and retrieval, and when the yacht has sufficient beam and an intelligent layout, it frees up considerable space in the interiors without eating up useful deck space. You'll see that as we walk through the interiors. So let me take you on a tour, as I would if you were viewing her for the first time with a view to buying her. Most guests will enter the yacht from this side entrance, where you are greeted with a fresh and elegant lobby area. You'll notice that there is a large central elevator, and this is one of the first features of the yacht that I want to draw your attention to. She's one of the few wheelchair-friendly yachts that I've been on. And that's something that I'll mention again later in the video. The design in this area is conceived to be reminiscent of the seabed, with a beautiful glass wall relief and seaweed-inspired metalwork floating up the stairwells throughout. Before venturing up or down the stairs though, let's take a look at this deck. You get an idea of just how voluminous this 60-meter yacht is when you enter the main deck lounge. The cabinetry in this area is just magnificent, and the proportions could not be any better. During my short time in the Bahamas, we got caught in some tropical rain a few times, so I suspect that this interior dining table could come in useful quite often. And what a gorgeous setting in which to enjoy fine dining with friends and family. Comfortable sofas and armchairs adorn the lounge area, surrounded by large windows for panoramic views, and at the touch of a button, a 65-inch television set descends from the ceiling, connected up, of course, to the onboard AV system. If you're in need of some fresh air, of course, the aft deck is just a few steps away, where you and your friends can enjoy a comfy seating area closer to the water. Let's continue the tour of the main deck though. Moving through the lounge and past the dining area, a door to the port side takes us to the galley. And what a galley this is. If you are seriously considering buying a yacht of this size, then it may be that you'll probably want to spend extensive periods of time on board, or maybe put the yacht on the charter market too. Either way, a sizable and well-equipped galley is such a great feature. And as we'll see later, this is backed up by a remarkable amount of food storage too. More of that later, because now it's time to take a look at the owner's suite. Now we could go back through the dining area, past the lobby and to the owner's suite corridor, Or we could simply take this hidden corridor and secret door that leads directly to the owner's suite. Just before you get to the stateroom itself, there are two sizable rooms to starboard and to port. Currently the starboard side is being used as a study, but interestingly it has its own bathroom, so this could easily be converted for use as an extra cabin. The same is true of the port side, that for the video was set up as a massage room, again with its own bathroom, so a really very flexible area that the crew tell me is sometimes used as an owner's gym. The owner's stateroom itself though is just one of the most elegant and beautiful that I have seen. I know that beauty is very much in the eye of the beholder, but the soft colours and gentle blending of woods and fabrics enriched by those large windows that flood the area with light, well, the results are simply sublime. Look at the ensuite bathroom too, clad in honey onyx and offering both a jacuzzi tub and a well-proportioned shower, but with his and hers changing rooms positioned to either side. Before I show you where your guests will be staying though, I'd like to take you up to the bridge deck. So, we need to return down the owner's corridor, past the hidden door to the galley, past a rather useful storage locker, and past the dayhead, which has a rather novel feature that I'm told that guests love. From here, we ascend the ornate staircase and turn right into this wonderful sky lounge. I love the attention to detail here. The bookcase behind the bar is ornamental, but look at the thought that has gone into naming the books. Owners and guests do tend to gravitate to a nice sky lounge, and so not surprisingly, this lounge is equipped with a 65-inch television that lowers so that you can enjoy watching the Formula One with a fresh beer from the bar. Another unexpected feature of this area is that at the flick of a switch, the entire aft bulkhead opens up to completely change the vibe of this area, really bringing the outside in. And let me just mention that the surface between the lounge and the deck is completely flush. That's not usually the case on yachts, but it was designed that way so that the yacht can be enjoyed by wheelchair users, as I mentioned earlier. For now though, let's go forward to the bridge. But as we do that, notice that we're actually passing the tender storage area to port and starboard, positioned to coincide with the bridge deck lobby, so that you really hardly even notice that they are there. A corridor leads forward past the lobby with a dayhead to starboard, a pantry to port, the captain's cabin to starboard, and an office to port. The bridge itself though is extremely impressive, an elegant, functional, spacious work area that any experienced captain and his crew will appreciate on a yacht of this size. We'll actually be looking at the crew areas in greater detail in a moment. I think it will really surprise you. But let's go down to the lower deck first to show you your guest accommodations. Here, a central lobby divides the guest accommodations in two. Aft is a VIP suite, and I've been so looking forward to showing you this. You may think that that's because it's such a luxurious accommodation for your more important guests, but no, actually, it's the remarkable flexibility of this area and the clever way that it has been implemented. If you need to, this lounge area can very easily morph into an extra stateroom, but the clever part about that is the way that this area is sectioned off, with a hidden panel sliding out and locking into place, and a hidden door that is recessed into the cabinetry, emerging to close the cabin off as if it was always meant to be that way. Needless to say, each of these spaces has its own ensuite, so the space works well as either one single suite or two individual staterooms. Moving forward was quite a surprise too. To starboard we have a sumptuous guest stateroom with a fresh and bright ensuite bathroom. But look at this to port, where we have another comfy guest stateroom with an ensuite bathroom, but again, this connecting lounge area with its own bathroom that once again can morph into a completely independent stateroom if you need the extra accommodation. That is nothing though compared to the surprise that is across the way from this lounge come extra cabin. A gymnasium. Now, I mentioned earlier that the massage room on the main deck doubles up as an owner's gym, so this is a really great feature for the guests. I should mention actually that Blue Moon has been a very successful charter yacht, as well as being immensely enjoyed by her owner. And I can imagine the more healthy of guests will get up in the morning, work out in the gym, have a relaxing massage on the main deck before their day's activities have even started. But I should also say that this is a great feature for the crew too. Now, if you watch my channel regularly, you'll know that I've often said that your enjoyment of yacht ownership depends more upon a good crew even than it does on a good yacht. So a really great yacht is designed with the crew in mind. And this is a great example of a really great yacht. Imagine for a moment the life of a crew member. Guests on board get up in the morning, have their breakfast, and the stewardesses immediately have to access the guest accommodation to change linen and towels and get the washing done. So easy accessibility throughout the yacht for the crew is a must. And just take a look at this as an example of easy accessibility for the crew to the guest accommodation. This door leads to a corridor with direct access to the crew's quarters, which actually deserve a video all of their own. With a full complement on board, Blue Moon can accommodate 18 crew, so a well-proportioned crew mess like this makes for more comfortable living arrangements. The crew cabins are mostly forward of this, a total of 7 cabins on this deck, with a capacity for 14 crew just on this deck, living with a very reasonable level of comfort. Here is something that you won't see on an Aquaholic video though. A tank deck. This is so named because the crew have easy access to the various tanks on board here. But just look at the use of this space. Forward is a wonderful storage area with lockers for the crew and many of the very useful accessories and props that make for a successful charter yacht. A little further forward still, and there's room for well-catalogued spare parts, as well as a room for the bow thruster tunnel. Interestingly, these tubes feed air into the bow thruster tunnel to substantially reduce the noise. It seems that the whole yacht has been designed with maintenance in mind. Making our way back through the storage area, we come to a corridor, and just take a look at this. A cold room that on long cruises can be used for garbage storage. A dry storage room, and if you're wondering what that second door is, I can tell you that it leads to another technical area. Then a laundry room that the Four Seasons Hotel in Moscow would be proud of. And another beautifully organised cold storage room. And I'm sure that this will surprise you as much as it did me, because further aft here there is a wonderful lounge area. It can just be another cool area for the crew to relax and play cards in. It's not over there though, because this lounge area leads on to another corridor with more dry storage. And this rather interesting room, which is a locked bonded room for alcohol that needs to be declared and displayed to customs. The piece de la resistance though is up these steps, and I know that you've been looking forward to seeing it. The engine room. I barely know where to start in describing this engine room, but I am simply astonished by the space and the organisation of this area. Two 2,000 horsepower 3516 Caterpillar engines take centre stage here, surrounded by neatly arranged equipment. Aft of the engines is a very sizable workstation, and then these three units are compressors for the air conditioning system that produce tons of chilled water to feed the air handlers on board. On the opposite side are two large hot water boilers. The chief engineer pointed out to me that the water is actually heated below these units, which then store the hot water. Just look at this though, a 148 horsepower stern thruster that is in its retracted position. Now this entire unit lowers below the waterline and can rotate 360 degrees for incomparable manoeuvrability in port. The captain actually tells me that you can propel the yacht forward at 4 knots with this. Next to the stern thruster is a generator room containing three 300 kilowatt generators, replaced with new units in 2013. This is what's called a floating room, the generators being a major source of noise and vibration on any yacht, so this keeps the noise and vibration away from the guests. I should also add that there's an emergency 85 kilowatt generator on board that's sufficient to keep the lights on and the batteries charged if necessary. And next to the generator room is the chief engineer's room, from where he can survey the mechanics and the engineering on board. Finally, in this area of the yacht, we come to the transom, where 2 jet skis are stored and some useful technical equipment too, including a shore power converter for world cruising capability, a dive compressor, and on the other side a powerful high fog anti-incendiary unit. So, from the bottom of the yacht, let's go to the very top, where this delightful and unusual enclosed terrace is located, looking out onto the jacuzzi tub. It's a great place to sit in quiet contemplation, or not so quiet contemplation if you're watching your kids playing in the tub. As I walked aft from this area, I was struck by the width of the side decks. Again, an essential feature for a wheelchair-friendly yacht. Here on the upper deck, we find a shaded area for dining and socialising, and steps leading down to the bridge deck, which I suspect is the favoured area for dining on board. Again, the yacht has surprising and useful features, since if you are eating on one of the more windy days of the Bahamas, hidden panels emerge to offer protection from the elements for the guests on board. And to finish the tour of this deck, again we have those wide decks past the tender and onto another seating area forward of the bridge. Blue Moon is truly one of the world's greatest super yachts. You don't buy a yacht like this for her speed, but it is important to note that she has a top speed of about 16 knots, and the captain tells me that she cruises comfortably at 14 knots. Her range is in excess of 5,000 nautical miles, depending of course on the speed that you're doing. She was built for supreme seaworthiness and comfort. And again, the captain tells me that guests are constantly amazed at how quiet she is underway, with many guests not even realizing that the engines were running until they see that the yacht is moving. And that, by the way, is one of the things that makes the Feadship brand stand out, a supreme quality of yacht construction. I mean, that engine room, the silence of the yacht when she's underway, the quality of the fixtures and the fittings, you feel like you're on something very special indeed. But it's not what makes Blue Moon stand out. As I mentioned earlier, the Feadship brand is the cherry on the Superyacht cake. What really makes Blue Moon stand out is that she's the third of a series of yachts built for an owner who brought a lifetime of yachting experience to the table when he commissioned her construction. The layout of the yacht is extraordinarily flexible, and flexible layout makes for a flexible yacht. So if you want to cruise the world with your friends and with your family, this is the perfect yacht to do it on. If you want to offset some of the yearly running costs by putting her on the charter market, she's a perfect charter yacht. I wish I had Blue Moon for sale, but that privilege falls to two of my colleagues, Kevin Merrigan and Wes Sanford, whose email addresses are on screen now. So if you're a qualified buyer of a yacht of this size, even if you're about to pull the trigger on another yacht, don't do anything until you've seen Blue Moon. If you like what you've seen in this video, the reality is even greater still.
Would you